Often credited as the greatest comedian of all time, Peter Sellers was born to a well-off English acting family in 1925. His mother and father worked in an acting company run by his grandmother. As a child, Sellers was spoiled, as his parents' first child had died at birth. He enlisted in the Royal Air Force and served during World War II. After the war he met Spike Milligan, Harry Secombe and Michael Bentine, who would become his future workmates. After the war, he set up a revue in London, which was a combination of music, he played the drums, and impressions. Then, all of a sudden, he burst into prominence as the voices of numerous favourites on the BBC radio programme, The Goon Show 1951–1960, and then making his debut in films in Penny Points to Paradise 1951, and Down Among the Z-Men 1952, before making it big as one of the criminals in The Ladykillers 1955. These small but showy roles continued throughout the 1950s, but he got his first big break playing the dogmatic Union man, Fred Kite, in I'm All Right Jack 1959. The film's success led to starring vehicles into the 1960s that showed off his extreme comic ability to its fullest. In 1962, Sellers was cast in the role of Claire Quilty in the Stanley Kubrick version of the film Lolita 1962, in which his performance as a mentally unbalanced TV writer with multiple personalities landed him another part in Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove 1964, in which he played three roles which showed off his comic talent in play acting in three different accents, British, American, and German. The year 1964 represented a peak in his career with 4 films in release, all of them well received by critics and the public alike. Dr. Strangelove, for which he was Oscar nominated, The Pink Panther, in which he played his signature role of the bumbling French inspector Jacques Clouseau for the first time, its almost accidental sequel, A Shot in the Dark, and The World of Henry Orient. Sellers was on top of the world, but on the evening of April 5, 1964, he suffered a nearly fatal heart attack after inhaling several amyl nitrites, also called poppers, an aphrodisiac halogen combination, while engaged in a sexual act with his second wife Britt Ekland. He has been working on Billy Wilder's Kiss Me, Stupid 1964. In a move Wilder later regretted, he replaced Sellers with Ray Walston rather than hold up production. By October 1964, Sellers made a full recovery and was working again. The mid-1960s were noted for the popularity of all things British, from the Beatles' music, who were presented with their Grammy for Best New Artist by Sellers, to the James Bond films, and the world turned to Sellers for comedy. What's New Pussycat 1965 was another big hit, but a combination of his ego and insecurity was making Sellers difficult to work with. When the James Bond spoof, Casino Royale 1967, ran over budget and was unable to recoup its costs despite an otherwise healthy box office take, Sellers received some of the blame. He turned down an offer from United Artists for the title role in Inspector Clouseau 1968, but was angry when the production went ahead with Alan Arkin in his place. His difficult reputation and increasingly erratic behavior, combined with several less successful films, took a toll on his standing. By 1970, he had fallen out of favor. He spent the early years of the new decade appearing in such lackluster B films as Where Does It Hurt? 1972, and turning up more frequently on television as a guest on The Dean Martin Show and a Glenn Campbell TV special. In 1974, Inspector Clouseau came to Sellers' rescue when Sir Lew Grade expressed an interest in a TV series based on the character. Clouseau's creator, writer-director Blake Edwards, whose career had also seen better days, convinced Grade to bankroll a feature film instead, and Return of the Pink Panther 1975 was a major hit release during the summer of Jaws and restored both men to prominence. Sellers would play Clouseau in 2 more successful sequels, The Pink Panther Strikes Again 1976 and The Revenge of the Pink Panther 1978, and Sellers would use his newly rediscovered clout to realize his dream of playing Chauncey Gardiner in a film adaptation of Jerzy Kosinski's novel, Being There. Sellers had read the novel in 1972, but it took 7 years for the film to reach the screen. Being There 1979 earned Sellers his second Oscar nomination, but he lost to Dustin Hoffman of Kramer vs. Kramer 1979. Sellers struggled with depression and mental insecurities throughout his life. An enigmatic figure, he often claimed to have no identity outside the roles that he played. His behavior on and off the set and stage became more erratic and compulsive, and he continued to frequently clash with his directors and co-stars, especially in the mid-1970s when his physical and mental health, together with his continuing alcohol and drug problems, were at their worst. He never fully recovered from his 1964 heart attack because he refused to take traditional heart medication and instead consulted with psychic healers. As a result, his heart condition continued to slowly deteriorate over the next 16 years. On March 20, 1977, Sellers barely survived another major heart attack and had a pacemaker surgically implanted to regulate his heartbeat, which caused him further mental and physical discomfort. However, he refused to slow down his work schedule or consider heart surgery, which might have expanded his life by several years. On July 25, 1980, Sellers was scheduled to have a reunion dinner in London with his Goon Show partners, Spike Milligan and Harry Secombe. However, at around 12 noon on July 22, Sellers collapsed from a massive heart attack in his Dorchester hotel room and fell into a coma. He died in a London hospital just after midnight on July 24, 1980 at age 54. He was survived by his fourth wife, Lynn Frederick, and 3 children, Michael, Sarah and Victoria. At the time of his death, he was scheduled to undergo an angiography in Los Angeles on July 30 to see if he